Look at it, huh? Look at that. What do you know about that? Because I know nothing. And that's what I love about this YouTube series is just going in blind as a motherfucker, not knowing what we're getting ourselves into. And the reason I do it is because I love the concept of what makes something popular. If it's that popular, it's because there is something about it that people resonate with. And even though this is a YA story about a girl in high school, and that's a either pleasure or displeasure I've never had, I want to see what all the fuss is about. So join me as we dive into the treacherous, unmapped waters of a teenage girl's mind in hot pink.
You may not know this, but one of the most fun things about what I do is trying to figure out where it's all going to go wrong. You know, where shit is just going to get diabolical. And what a lovely little surprise to find out that it's on page 1.
Apparently, this girl writes love letters to boys that she's never dated, maybe even boys that don't even know she exists. Pours her heart and soul into these things, just writes like there's no tomorrow, like they're never going to read them, and then she sticks them in a box in the top of her closet.
Hey, is this book about those boys finding those letters? Because that... Oh, chef's kiss, that would be diabolical. That'd make me really uncomfortable and I'd love it.
My feelings are already hurt. The first couple chapters, they get me to fall in love with this guy named Josh. Everybody likes Josh. Josh does everything right. Josh hangs out with the 9-year-old little sister. Josh goes fishing with the dad. Josh is handsome and funny and tall. But Josh is dating the oldest sister, Margot, and they break up. Hey, I liked him. I didn't need that. Why introduce him to me in like literally 5 pages and then take him away? He does live next door, so like I kind of assume he's going to be around. Because I think the dad is rich, or at least well off. He's a doctor. I am also pretty sure that the Oxford study, if it were a real thing, would apply to him because he married an Asian woman who... Where is she? Who is dead. Well, that's unfortunate. She died falling in her own kitchen. Pathetic. Unless that happened to a loved one of yours, in which case, condolences. All right, gang, it is a new day, as you can see, sunlight. And with it, we will leave behind the bad juju of dead mothers. I actually intend to finish this book in the next 36 hours. So by this time tomorrow night, we are going to be done. Speaking of things that I'm done with, the older sister, Margot. I do feel like I'm spending a lot of time with this sister who is about to leave to Scotland. Look, if you're going to leave, just leave, okay? Seems to be your thing, honestly. You left Josh, now you're leaving your family. I don't need all the rigmarole, okay? Just break my heart and get it over with. There's another thing that I'm done with, and it is this girl, Chris. I do not like Chris. Our main character, Laura Jean, she doesn't cuss, she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke. I'm pretty sure that she's like a church camp girl. Why is her best friend a degen? Chris sucks. Chris is a borderline hooker. I don't care if she's in high school. She knows what she's doing. She shouldn't be doing it. Now, did I have a degen best friend in high school? Yes, but he sold crystal meth, okay? He didn't yell at people who stepped on his toes in the supermarket. They're different. And I hope that Chris goes to juvie, so...
Okay. So she's in love with her sister's ex. I'm not putting words in her mouth. She used that word love. And my question before I absolutely freak the fuck out is platonic love? Because she goes on and on about how Josh is like a great, basically older brother, really good boyfriend to her sister. The whole family loves him. I'd be okay if the word that she's using is like a platonic, I like him as a person. I wish that he were in the family. I want him and Margot to get back together. I would get that. But if she wants to have the sex with him, I'll scream. And you know I will. I've done it before.
It's romantic love. I owe you a scream. I don't have the energy right now. Oh, okay. She used to love him. She wrote him a letter a long time ago. When the sister started dating him, she just let go. And so she wrote that letter. But the letter still exists, and that's going to be a problem. But I think that I get to take my IOU back. I don't think I owe you a scream anymore. So sorry to you, and good for my neighbors.
I was right, by the way. The neighbor guy, he's still around. The one that dated the older sister, Josh. He's hanging out with the younger sister, and he says that his first crush was her. And at first I was like, oh. But then the fully developed part of my brain kicked in, and I went,
then why the fuck did you date the other sister?
Am I going to hate this guy? Is he a dumbass? Like, just takes whoever's in front of him, like that kind of guy?
Oh, okay. The crush was when he was 12.
I guess I should wait to react to stuff until I kind of know what's happening, right? But then that's not a true reaction. That's just me waiting for my emotions to level out. That's boring. And 2 pages later, we find out that she is indeed still in love with Josh. I don't understand that. I don't get how that's possible. I have 2 brothers. If my brothers dated a girl, that girl would be dead to me romantically. I mean, I'd have to keep her alive in a literal sense because she might enter the family. But on principle alone, I couldn't date somebody my brother dated. What the Laura Jean, what the hell? Also, am I pronouncing her name right? There's no U in it. Laura. There's an Lara. I'm going to keep pronouncing it the way that I am. Okay, so a second fighter has entered the chat, and the problem with that is he's kind of a tool. This guy's name is Peter Kavinsky, and he's that guy that, like, kind of everybody wants to date because he's really attractive. Whereas Josh is that guy next door that, you know, might not be the most attractive guy, but he's the reliable guy. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. Nobody ends up with a Peter Kavinsky in real life. He ends up with like 3 marriages and a whole bunch of money owed to alimony. Which what I'm saying is I don't want her to end up with him. But I also don't want her to end up with Josh. Because Josh dated her sister. Am I going to have to kill a 9-year-old? I'll explain that in a minute, but I think I'm going to have to do violence to a 9-year-old. She wrote one of these letters to Peter when she was in middle school. One of these love letters that she put in the shoebox. And now Peter is holding it in his hand. And you may be wondering, how does this involve a 9-year-old? That's a fantastic question. And it would be a cause and effect situation because she pissed off the 9-year-old earlier today, her younger sister. And if that little fucker mailed these letters out to the people that she wrote these love letters to, how the fuck would a 9-year-old even know how to use the post office? I'll kill her. It can't be the thing because a 9-year-old does not know how to use a post office or how to get to a post office. But if it is the thing, I'm going to kill a 9-year-old. Update, it may have been the dad. Dad was cleaning out a lot of stuff out of the house after the sister moved to Scotland, and he may have given the box to Goodwill along with some other things. So now this brings up a new problem for me because you're telling me that a Goodwill worker took the letters to the post office? If every Goodwill I've ever stood in is any indication, they don't even know how to put clothes on hangers. You're telling me that they went out of their way to go to a post office? I have 2 impossibly improbable things in front of me. Either a 9-year-old somehow got to a post office, or a Goodwill worker went out of their way to go to the post office. I don't believe in either one. I would like to fight this girl, our main character, and I can't. I can't because I'm pretty sure that she's a minor. And she's also a she. Can't be hitting women. Also, in general, violence is not the answer, even if she wasn't. But in the fantasy world that I have concocted in my head, I would like to fight her because Josh is now holding one of the letters that she wrote when she was in middle school. Peter got a letter, Josh got a letter, right? And she's freaking the fuck out about Josh getting a letter because there's bigger implications about Josh getting a letter, right? He's still kind of part of the family. He's the guy that lives next door. He's the guy that dated her sister. Josh can't find out that she liked her or likes him. Still does. Forgot about that part. She loves him. So her way to get Josh to believe that the letter doesn't mean anything. Hey, Josh, don't worry about that. Forget that that thing exists. She says the reason that he shouldn't care is because she's dating somebody. Perfectly reasonable explanation. Who's she dating, you might ask? Wonderful question. She says she's dating Peter Kavinsky, the douchebag, the guy who got the other letter. I don't even think they're friends. Do only 2 men exist in this world? Can't you pull the classic like, a guy at a different school? Everybody knows that's a lie when you say that, but that doesn't matter. At least you're not naming somebody that they could go talk to and immediately prove that you were lying. And it gets better. It gets so much better like 2 pages later because guess who's in the hallway? Peter Kavinsky. And in order to sell this lie, she runs up to him, jumps on him, and kisses him on the mouth. And, you know, for the record, if anybody reads this and wonders, is that how life works? If anybody did that to me, I would WWE body slam them to the ground. Peter, I will give it to him, took it pretty well, all things considered. Kissed her back, actually, which is how you know he's a hoe. You know, this is the second book in a row I've read that has a sex contract in it. Except it's not really a sex contract because it's between 2 high schoolers, at least one of which is celibate. But what's happening is Laura Jean doesn't want Josh to find out that she has feelings for him. And Peter wants to, I think, piss off his ex. And this just seems like a lot of steps for those 2 outcomes. So anyways, they're fake dating now, which is fantastic. That storyline never ends poorly when the truth comes out. Never. Hey, do I like Peter? He's kind of a jackass, right? But he's fun. He's one of those fun jackasses. And here's the thing, because I've mulled over this, right? He's using Laura Jean, but I can't hate him because they're using each other and they looked each other in the eye and said, I'm going to use you for this purpose. And because they're doing it to each other and because they both know what they're doing, Can I blame them? You know, they're not lying to each other, as far as I know.
I think I've changed my mind on Peter again. He goes beyond fun jackass. He's kind of a shithead sometimes. Like, sometimes the things that he says and does are, like, actually mean. And I also think that he might be spreading rumors about her, but that's not confirmed. That's just a hunch that I have. All right, I gotta be honest, gang. I don't really feel the stakes of the story right now. You know, Laura Jean is dating Peter because she doesn't want Josh to find out that she still has feelings for him. But Josh is great. He seems like he would take that information really well. He still hangs out around the family. He hangs out with the little sister. He's there. He's friendly. There isn't any undertone to the words that he says. So I don't have an emotional attachment to him finding out. It wouldn't change anything. And also there's the fact that in total, I think that there were 5 letters, 2 of which were sent to Josh and Peter. The third one was a return to sender for somebody that she went to camp with years ago. The fourth one went to a gay guy who literally didn't give a shit. And I don't think we even know who the 5th one went to, or we haven't met that person yet. So there isn't this impending doom of what could happen. All that's really happening is that she's fake dating a guy while still hanging out and talking to the other guy, and everybody kind of gets along. So I guess this is just a really long way of asking, what am I supposed to be caring about?
Josh had sex with the sister. Not recently, a while back. And you may be thinking, well, that's not a big deal. They dated. And they did. The problem here is that Laura Jean is a naive child. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm actually saying that the book goes out of its way to make that point. She still calls her dad daddy as like a 17-year-old girl. It's a little weird, but I think that the author does it to show how childlike she is. She believes that her sister and Josh would never have had sex because her sister and her made a pact in middle school that they would wait until they were either married or 21. And because neither of those things have happened, she thinks it is literally an impossibility that her sister would have had sex. And now she found written proof in a letter that was sent from Josh to her sister that they did sleep together. And currently in the story, this doesn't matter because I really don't think that those two are going to end up together. But I just feel bad for Laura Jean because I remember what it was like to be naive. I think that to some extent, everybody can kind of remember like when you discover that the world isn't the way that you thought it was, that it isn't as innocent as you thought it was. And unfortunately for her, that involves a guy that she likes having banged her sister.
God, I can't make up my mind on Peter. I just can't tell if I like him or not. He is a tool. Like at first I pictured this guy from the 10 Things I Hate About You, but he does things where you're like, do you care? You care about her? Are you going to be a good boyfriend? And he gets you to want to buy into him, and now I'm starting to think actually that Laura Jean may be an unreliable narrator because Peter doesn't like Josh. Like homie, homegrown boy next door Josh, who the whole family loves. He's like, that guy's a tool. Which I guess it's good to note that Josh thinks the same way about Peter. They don't like each other. But I'm getting conflicting information and I can't tell if it's the guy or the girls who are giving me bad information. Because if Josh is a tool, the girl's giving me bad information because everything that she says about him is like perfect. And everything that she says about Peter is borderline really negative, even though she's fake dating that one. I really hope that Peter turns out to be a good guy because I am about 100% positive that they're going to date based solely on the piece of information that he just invited her on a 2-hour road trip, which doesn't make any sense if they don't like each other because they're fake dating at school, but that's public. Road trip, nobody has to know about that. They don't have to choose to spend time together, and they are. And also she made him a sandwich, which if A Court of Thorns and Roses taught me anything, basically means that you're fated to be together. All right, remember earlier when I said that I didn't know what exactly to care about? I figured that part out. There is a forbidden love triangle going on right now that for some reason I'm interested in it. I am really starting to think that she is going to end up with Peter, which for some reason I am not against. But I also kind of want her to end up with Josh because I do think he's a better person, even though he slept with her sister. And also Peter is maybe still sleeping with his ex, which isn't cheating, but it also sucks because I want her to end up with someone, but both of them are bad for her. Yep, fuck. Peter kissed her and she admitted that she likes him. There it is. I knew it. I knew that it couldn't be boring the entire time. The story was too popular for that. It was though, boring, by the way, for like 150 pages. If I had to hear about one more car ride to and from school, I was going to off myself. And now Josh kissed her. I hate high schoolers so much. He says that he was jealous now that he saw her with Peter. By the way, Josh slept with her sister a couple months ago. But now, because he sees her with somebody else, he's going, well, I realized that I had feelings for you. You know what? I can't believe I'm saying this. I like Peter more than Josh.
I'm going to complain again because it's not really a Linmore video without complaining. The book is back to being boring, and I think the reason for it is because she, the author, the filler that she uses is this character's home life. I don't give a fuck about her home life. There's so much that could be happening at school. Like, she's dating the popular hot kid. You're telling me no drama has happened because of that? She knows upperclassmen. I want drama. I want rumors. I want a pregnancy scare for somebody. They're not real people. I don't care what happens to them. I know more about her 9-year-old little sister than I know about my 27-year-old brother. And I've talked on the phone today with my brother twice. Today. It gives me details I don't fucking need. Pick up the pace.
Don't have a lot to add right now. Just thought I'd remind you that Chris fucking sucks. And actually, separate from that, I really don't understand their friendship. Laura Jean and Chris. Laura Jean's actually like kind of a wet blanket. You know, Chris wants to bring alcohol on the school trip, which is like, yeah, I think that that's what 17, 18-year-olds should be doing. Sneak booze out from underneath teachers. And Laura Jean is just about blown a fucking gasket over that. And again, like, you might be thinking, well, they're underage, they shouldn't be doing it. This is a pent up thing, which is my own fault, because I don't tell you everything that happens in books. But the amount of times I've heard in this motherfucker her complain about Peter having cheated on a test in middle school would blow your mind. She acts like he beat up a deaf kid, like he committed a war crime against Aboriginals. I mean, she treats cheating on a test with that level of notoriety. And am I maybe overreacting because I don't like Chris and all of this is coming together? Yeah, maybe. But also, fucking lay off my boy Peter.
They kissed. And I know that they've done that before, but this time it was real. She like went out to the hot tub and confessed her feelings for him, and then they kissed. And I didn't hate it. Oh, yes. Finally, I can root for something positive.
If Peter did what I think he did, I am going to kill him. And that 9-year-old, I have not forgotten about that little fucker. And I'm still mulling over if he did the thing that I think he did. I'll tell you about that here in a little bit. But while I'm adding to the list of people that I hate, I may actually hate Peter's ex more than anybody else in this story. Listen to this.
The only reason Peter even dated you was to make me jealous. His ego couldn't take the fact that I dumped him for an older guy. He was using you, but he still came running whenever I called. That's because he loves me. He will never love another girl as much as he loves me.
Those are the words of a demonic witch from Satan's underbelly, and I am not a fan.
Okay, I don't have answers here. And if you've seen the movie, you already know what I'm talking about. I can't tell if Peter was the one who spread the rumor about them having sex in the hot tub, right? Like, she went out there, out of her comfort zone, went out to the hot tub to go tell him that she has feelings for him. And they make out in the hot tub, great, but then they go inside because it was really cold. Wake up the next day and there is a rumor that they have had sex. And nobody, to our knowledge, saw them out there. Which means that if somebody created a rumor, it would have had to have been one of those two. And we know it wasn't her. But if he did it, it goes against every instinct that I have. Because my instinct tells me he's not actually as bad of a person as the book has made him out to be. And if it was him, that sucks even more, because that would mean that me, a grown adult, is being manipulated by a 17-year-old boy.
Peter and Josh are fighting. Josh told Peter to go fuck himself, which was the first use of that word in this book, and I liked it. Oh, no. Never mind, everything sucks. There's another thing that I forgot to tell you about, which was when Josh pronounced his feelings for Laura Jean, he tried to kiss her. And now fucking Margot, I don't even care about her and Josh at all, but now everything is going to get ruined because her stupid ex-boyfriend tried to kiss her stupid sister, which was blabbed about by stupid Peter in the kitchen at the Christmas party, which Margot overheard. She overheard Peter talking about how Josh tried to do that, how her ex-boyfriend tried to kiss her sister, which at this point shouldn't even matter because she's with Peter. But Margot's blaming the sister for some reason. How's the sister involved in that? Talk to your dumb, horny ex-boyfriend. And why is the dad trying to give her a sex talk right now? That is not the most important thing going on. It was that fucking kid. It was that fucking 9-year-old, and I knew it the whole time. How? How are you going to try and convince me that a 9-year-old navigated the United States Postal Service? You're telling me that she just found the addresses of these people, of somebody that her sister went to camp with 10 years ago? Or worse, stupider, when Laura Jean wrote the letters, she put the addresses on there? Why would anybody do that? You don't plan on ever sending them to the people. Or a third level of dumb, you also put the addresses on there and then stamps? Or are you trying to convince me that a 9-year-old purchased stamps? I want this known before God and man and any literary deities that may or may not exist. I deny the premise of the inciting incident of this book.
Okay, all right. That was a pretty good ending. Everything was real bad for a minute, and the author did something really good, which is that she didn't fix all of the problems. She opened the door to the problems being fixed. And literally the last 2 words of this book are Dear Peter, because she's writing him a letter, but she's not writing him a letter that is going to go up into the closet, into the shoebox. She's writing him a letter, a love letter that he's actually going to get. And that's brilliant because I didn't plan on reading the other ones, but now I'm sitting here wondering, do I need to? I genuinely want to know if they get back together. I want to know who started the rumor in the hot tub. I actually want to know what happens with the sister and Josh, or just Josh on his own. I want to know if Peter's an asshole or not. I don't know if this is just the vagueness of the book or if it's any clearer in the movie, but I never really got a full sense of who he is. He was always capable of doing shitty things, saying shitty things. But then there were other times where he really showed up as a good boyfriend, even when those moments were being a fake boyfriend. So yeah, I'm torn. That was a really good ending. I'm going to do the thing where I go disappear for a bit. I'm going to think. I'll be back for the final thoughts.
All right, thoughts have been mulled, and the dust jacket has been returned to its original home. And I cannot, in good conscience, give it higher than a 3.5. And by that, I mean I'm giving it a 3.5. Look, the concept was good, a really good hook, but the concept in actuality falls flat. I complained about this while reading, but she wrote 5 letters, only 2 of which ever amounted to anything. The promise of the premise in the title is that it expands upon itself, a shoebox full of letters that can cause havoc at any given point, that could ruin her high school life. To all the boys I've loved before, it's 2. And they both like her back. She's never teased or anything. She's never bullied or becomes a pariah. There's no tension throughout this book about how it would actually affect her social life. After the letters are sent, the bulk of this book, 200 something pages, is just a giant miscommunication trope involving driving to and from school that ends in a Christmas party with a pretty modest fight. So we have another situation here where, like, I liked the book. Didn't hate it by any means, but I can't wait to watch the movie because I think that it's a concept that can be improved upon. Not even necessarily in changing the story itself, but with the right cinematic tweaks, you can improve the tension between characters. Even in something as small as like how other students at the school look at her when she walks down the hallway with Peter. You don't really hear about that type of stuff. I do think the romance is good. It does something that a lot of modern romance doesn't do, which is yearning. A lot of modern romance is just like, we saw each other from across the room and we fell in love. Or we saw each other from across the room and we hated each other and then we fell in love later. This was a steady classic climb of will they, won't they? And I do wish that the plot aspects were a little bit more fleshed out, but it was good. If you've read this, I would love to know what you agree or disagree with about those thoughts. As always, 1 week from today, I will be reacting to your comments over on Patreon, so join us there and I will see you at the movie.